Oh, yeah. I love that horn. I hope we never kill that horn. Maybe adapt the song a bit, but love that horn. Welcome, everybody, to the Zach Dresler Show. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Please smash that subscribe button.
Smash it.
Hit that alert, that little bell.
Hit it.
And also subscribe to the audio portions of this. It's on Spotify, on iTunes, Apple, Stitcher, SoundCloud,
Google Podcasts,
your mom's local AM/FM radio dial. Hit it up. I'm sure it's there. I don't know. Maybe it's not. But thank you for joining. If you want, also you can check us out on TZDS.tv. and TZDS.gay.
Man,
and
it's great. You really nailed it.
I'm flowing right now. And I hope we just started this a couple podcasts ago. Leave us a voicemail. We have a number you can call. It's 405-655-8937, which is 405-655-TZDS.
Ah, see what we did there?
Do you guys get it?
Yeah.
Do you guys get it? I still have to remember it. It's on my phone that I had to look at. But do you get what we just did?
It's well, maybe young people don't even know that that's a thing because who calls numbers anymore?
No one calls numbers anymore. People text each other.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a throwback to kind of do the acronym of the show in the number. But please call 405-655-TZDS, 405-655-8937. Please, nobody has left a message in the weeks it's been open.
Leave a hate message. Tell me all your problems.
I thought
leave me your horoscope.
I thought Steven listened to every word of the show, but he doesn't.
I know.
He hasn't called in.
I know. And I have to talk to him because apparently he said
Steven Farrell, everybody.
Yes, a good friend of mine. He has been a guest on the show, Stephen Farrell. I thought you would at least leave 5 messages.
Yeah.
3 truthful ones, 1 hurtful one, and a spoof.
Yeah.
And I told my girl, it's funny. I tell my girlfriend about this, and then she just totally forgets. Like today, I was like, I'm leaving. She goes, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going to record my show." She goes, "Oh."
How Hollywood of you.
She goes, "It's Wednesday," and I go, "If that's how you have to remember what Wednesdays are, sure." Like Jesus Christ, which has still not come on the show.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, that's partly your fault.
It's all my fault. And it just makes me think, like, does she actually love me?
She's been on the show. She's been on
the show, my birthday show, and when she was making fun of Chris and I. But she does that on every time we play. Whenever that happens, she just sits in the background and fucking rips on us.
Yeah. Well, is there maybe we can get deep here? Is there an innate fear in bringing her on the show?
No.
Do you not want the show to grow legs?
No, it's not the case at all. There's no innate fear. I'm afraid that it might be too good maybe I'll be afraid it's too good of a show, and then I have to have her on.
Hijack the show.
She'll hijack the show anyway.
We'll have to change.
Listen, we do.
Which we can do.
I have to constantly tell her and remind her because if I don't, she'll bug me while I'm doing work. She'll be like, "Baby, who's the funniest person in all the land?" I'm like, "You are." Like even right, like I've gotten to the point where she goes, "Baby," and I go, "Carrie, you are the funniest person." All she doesn't even prompt me, and like sometimes, most of the time, I hit the nail on the head and she laughs. Other times she goes, "Thank you for that validation, but also, what do you want for dinner?" It's like, well, every time you lead into that whole baby, I feel like it's she's asking me who's the funniest all the time. Sometimes I say me and she gets pissed, but
it baffles me like somebody like her would need it. She's hilarious.
I think all these
that's what's so
actors
weird.
And actresses and talent need to hear it. They don't.
Yeah. Well, I know you
don't want to hear it. They act like they don't, but I think they do. I like hearing it.
No,
I like hearing it.
I guess, Carrie, from my perspective, and I just see you on Instagram stories. I've never even, never even met you.
It's funny. A lot of people in my life haven't met Carrie yet.
But hilarious. Everything I've ever seen is a top-notch character, impeccable improv.
The Bish is funny. She is funny. She is talented.
Incredible.
She needs to be in a writer's room and on a show as a character because she is so good at what she does. And I'm hoping. I believe it's going to happen. We just got to. We're just being patient. Everyone has their time. Everyone gets a time. Their time comes. I believe her time is coming soon, and I think when that time comes, that's when she'll come on the show because she goes, "What do you want me to talk about? I don't have any shows that are upcoming right now." I was like, "We could talk about whatever."
Do not come.
What? Ooh, that was out of left field. What do you mean? Do not come. What do you mean?
I was just quoting Kamala Harris this week.
Oh, well, that's.
Did you hear?
Yeah,
Kamala Harris?
yeah.
Sorry to turn the
No,
subject
I
away
didn't know
from
we
Carrie.
were.
Love you,
I
Carrie.
did
Shout
not
out,
know
Carrie.
we were going to go. I did not know we were going to
You
go into
just said
politics.
come like with 10 times within like
Come,
10 seconds.
Yeah, but I could have said the CM.
And it just it, literally you said come, and then I was like, okay, whatever, and then come, and then I was just like Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. Yes, Kamala Harris.
I'll put the meme up. Yeah, it's been on. Yeah, it's on the screen.
Yeah, right here. We if you didn't know what happened, she basically told people who are trying to migrate or immigrate to America from Central America and South America not to come. After decades of U.S. government throwing over fucking regimes over there and fucking up the political world and down there.
Yeah. And how can Republicans get pissed at that?
Well, because they're gonna talk about the hypocrisy
what I mean?
of Democrats yelling at Republicans for doing it for 4 years.
Right. You can never be happy.
No,
Yeah.
listen. There's always gonna be hypocrisy on both sides. So, yeah, that's all I want to talk about politics.
But the crosscut. Did you see the crosscut with Trump in the meme?
No, I've
It's
not
incredible.
seen that.
It's do not come, and then it's Trump side, and then it cuts to Trump, and it's I'm gonna come.
I have seen that. Yes. Wow. I forgot about that.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's great. But sorry to sidetrack.
No, it's all good.
Shout out Carrie. We love you, Carrie. Yeah.
Shout out Carrie. Anyway, speaking of radio, this whole fucking thing just got derailed. Speaking of
radio,
well, we were talking about radio earlier about like, the numbers, call out numbers 405, TZSD, and like how kids these days probably don't even know what to call into a radio show. My guest coming up here, see the fucking way I did this?
Alexa, stop.
Oh man, Alexa is trying to get in the conversation.
It's 9:00 on the dot again, Jack. I called you Jack again.
Welcome to the Jack Dresler Show. TJD. See how it fucking fucked. Even one letter can fuck this whole thing up.
Because you just said the number TSZD. Did you?
Oh, did I say it?
You said like TZSD. That's what you said.
Zach Dresler. TZDS. Oh, I said SD.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, language. Great acronym. Language isn't my first thing, but we were talking about radio and the numbers and having people call up the show and probably
Yeah.
My guest coming up here is one of my good friends that I met while working in radio many years ago. He's got his own tennis podcast that just got released. He's doing a weekly show. He is a tennis guru. I'm a big fan of his. He's also a huge wrestling guru. Knows all the stuff about wrestling. Knows all the stuff about tennis.
The Holding Serve podcast.
The Holding Serve podcast.
Holding Serve podcast.
My friend Agahzi Giorgis will be joining us. I'm going to actually bring him in right now. Let's get him on the line here. Let's cue that music and do a nice little smooth transition and get G on the line. You're going to enjoy this. All right, well, join us right now. A very good friend of mine, former colleague, and just an overall fucking great dude, Agahzi Giorgis. I say that right?
You said it correctly.
I said that right. It's been so long, dude. We haven't we text, we catch up here and there, but it's been so long since we've been face to face, and I wish this was actually in person. But you're on the other side of the continent. You're on the side of America. I'm on the west side. You're on the east side. But dude, it's really good to fucking see you, man.
Good to see you too, man. You look very handsome.
Thank you.
I'm gonna throw that pass right out at you.
I appreciate that because my hair is a disaster. Like I haven't gone to any like barbershop yet to get any hair done yet. My girlfriend's been cutting my hair for the past year, and I'm hoping that like. Oh yeah, I'm lucky. I'm fortunate that she's she likes doing it. She does a decent job, but now she's like, well, it's over. So now go get your hair cut professional. I'm like, but you did such a good job. She's like, stop being cheap and go fucking cut your hair. Yeah. She throws in my religion in there. Obviously, says cheap Jew, but what are you gonna do?
Well, speaking of hair, I mean, this is actually combed. I was just in front of a mirror. I don't like to spend a lot of time there. But I put in like a solid 5 minutes of combing my hair.
I appreciate that.
That's the least I could do. I didn't get a haircut. I was in Jersey this past weekend, and I still get my haircut in New Jersey. I live in South Carolina. I still when I fly up to Jersey, I go see the same barber that I've been going to since high school. And I'm just sitting there this weekend, and I didn't even bother to call and make an appointment because it's Sunday morning, and I'm sitting there watching Djokovic win the French Open and just miserable because it was my dream to be a tennis player. And every time I watch somebody else win, I go through that whole, I could have done this. So I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, well, let the hair grow then, you know?
Let it ride. So did you get your hair cut? I want to talk about tennis in a second because I know you're a huge tennis fan. And I also want to talk about wrestling. But for like, did you get your hair cut at all over quarantine? Did you do it yourself? Did you just take trimmers and go and just buzz?
So from March 2020 until February of 2021, I didn't get my hair cut.
Wow.
Because listen, you know how often I go up to Jersey. I just go see my regular barber, and
You couldn't
I
do
just
that.
wasn't leaving the house. And then the two times the first two times I snuck up to Jersey before, before numbers started going down, before vaccines came out or whatever, I went up there and I just stayed in my buddy's house, and I wouldn't go see anyone. I wouldn't go to the barber shop or anything. I just wanted to get out of my house,
Yeah.
but like not go anywhere because I was still, like I wasn't interested in getting COVID.
No one, I mean, well, plenty of people are, or just disinterested in the whole thing. But dude, I was the same way, man. I haven't left LA since December of 2019. Like when I came back to Jersey to visit folks, I was
Right.
planning on coming home in May, and then quarantine hit, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll go home for the holidays. Nope, can't go then. And dude, I miss you, but I feel you, dude. It's been a fucking long fucking year.
Listen, and I don't know where anybody. You and I text, so I kind of know. But after that vaccine, after that second shot, I don't want to say I was reckless because I was, I'm still double masking and staying away from people or whatever. But that first flight back to Jersey, fully vaccinated, like I normally take pills to fly where I got to be knocked out.
Oh yeah.
I was awake that whole 1 hour flight, right? And it just felt like it was so weird. Like it went from like a whole year of like crap. Like if I go out of the house and like come into contact with the wrong person,
You're screwed.
like I'm screwed, right?
Yeah.
So just be so careful, and you don't want to get your family member sick. And then that first time, I was like super excited, but I'm like, wait, I forgot how to do this. And the scary thing is, like, it shouldn't have been that complicated, but we're so used to having just, moseying through life, like taking everything for granted. Like I'm walking outside, everything's great, or I'm going to stop and get something to eat, whatever. And then all of a sudden, when like we were able to start doing some of that stuff again, I was just like,
You're hesitant.
not only that, right? I'm hesitant at first. And then when I do it, it's like, and it was something as simple as just stopping at my favorite falafel place in New Brunswick, right? And the first time I like didn't mind, like they were doing the drop off anyway, but like I stopped off and I was able to pick something up, and it was like this thrill. And I'm sitting in the car and I'm just like, should I be this excited about something like that? Either I'm like really grateful now I understand life, or just like I have no life whatsoever. And like,
no, I think it's more of the things that you're just more appreciative of life. Like I'm way more appreciative of life. Like I appreciate the people that like, I stayed in contact with and, and checked in on me. And I, even though like, cause people, it's a thing. It's like, out of sight, out of mind. So a lot of people that I was friends with, I mean, I'm not going to say air quotes cause they're still my friends. We just haven't, connected. We haven't seen each other in person. There's not much. I felt like after a while, like, especially after 6-7 months, it's like when you talk to someone, it's like, what'd you do? Nothing. But like, what can you do? And there's obviously people that broke rules or whatever you want to call it, and good for them. But I had the same thing where it's like, I want to be, I'm trying to acclimate myself to the world. And I'm nervous. Like, I went to a barbecue over Memorial Day and everyone was vaxxed, but I still like kept my distance and was talking to everyone. And I had a little bit of social anxiety too. Like I never had a lot of social anxiety when going to parties. Like I'm very, extroverted and very talkative. But this time I was just like, I kept to myself. And that's also
Yeah.
because I felt like I didn't have a lot to talk about too.
That's so funny you said that. Because are you hearing anything like when I talk?
When I hear you, it's like a little background noise. It cuts in and out. So like when we hear you fine, but like when you're talking, it's this weird like noise underneath you.
I don't know what it is though.
Is it a fan by you?
No, I have nothing on in here.
It's
It
not
might be
our
'cause
AC, is it? No, the AC just turned on.
Hey, let me, you know what? Let me try something real quick.
All right.
All right, is this any better? Can you hear me?
That's a lot better. Andy, how does that sound? Yeah.
All right. So I was taping my podcast a couple hours ago, and the mic I'm using. I still had it hooked up, so I just now unplugged it, and you said it sounds better. So
Was the mic over there?
Yeah, it's right here.
That's why, because it wasn't in front of you. Yeah. That's all good. It's all good. It's fine.
Yeah, I worked in radio. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, yes, we've all worked in radio, and we've all I still mess up audio things. For video files all the time.
Yeah, but getting back to what you were saying about so a couple weeks ago I was in Jersey, because I'm starting to go back now.
Yeah.
And my friend was throwing a surprise party for her husband. Ended up being a disaster because it rained the whole weekend, and she was trying to do it outside. So she put up like these tents or whatever. I stayed in the house for the party, and I really knew well about 5 people there. There was another 5 I didn't know, right? First time I've been around mixed company, meaning like I don't know necessarily who you are, and
right.
Not sure if you're vaccinated or anything like that. So the next day I fly back to South Carolina, and from the medication that I took to fly, I was tired at night, so I passed out. So that Tuesday when I woke up, all of a sudden I'm sick.
Oh man.
And I'm coughing. And I'm feeling the sinus pressure. And like so much sinus pressure, like the back of my head and my neck is pounding or whatever. And I'm just like, you son of a. Now, mind you, I've caught a cold traveling before, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, I go into lockdown with the vitamin C and sleeping in the sweatsuits with socks on or whatever. I go the whole I wake up the next day, I'm worse. I'm like, all right.
Oh, shit.
Son of a bitch. So I drive to Walgreens and I buy a rapid test. I don't necessarily think I have it, but I'm thinking, boy, would this be some justice for your happy ass traveling so much all of a sudden, right?
You're vaccinated. It's not 100% foolproof.
Yeah, it's not 100%, but I've been acting a little bit like everything's back.
Yeah.
Guilty. So of course I swab myself. It comes back negative, and the whole time I'm going, but didn't they say that those aren't the most accurate? Right? This is me messing with myself.
It just fucks with your head.
Yeah.
It's all been fucking with my head. Yeah.
Next day I go to the doctor or whatever, and the doctor already doesn't like that I've started traveling again. She's even like withholding medicine, like. So she said, well, you travel too much. This lady wouldn't even come near me, mind you, because I had the cold. I didn't know they were doing this now. So one guy, they don't let me sit in the waiting room. They told me to wait in my car.
If you have any type of symptoms.
Yeah, because I told him I was there because I said, I showed him my vaccine card. No one gave a shit in the office. No one. And I said, and I took a rapid yesterday, but I just got the cough or whatever, and no temperature, no loss of smell, whatever. I'm still eating like a horse. And they say, well, you can't wait in here, so go wait in the car. I'm like, oh, all right. So I'm waiting an hour and a half. And finally, a guy in a freaking hazmat suit comes through the second door. You know the door that's always locked when a building's got 2 sets of doors, the one no one ever uses?
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes out that one. He calls out my name. At this point, I'm standing leaning on the car because I'm tired of sitting in it, right? So we go in. This guy takes me into a private room, wheels around a television, turns it on, and connects the doctor who's down the hall.
Wow, they went crazy on this, huh?
Yeah, they're like, okay, well, you can't see me in person because I don't want to get sick, so we're going to throw a hazmat suit on some dude and he's going to sit next to you like a translator while we're talking through a screen. I mean,
That's wild. That's crazy.
So I was negative, of course. It was just a bad cold, and
It was
I'm
the
an
cold.
idiot for
Now,
traveling.
did you? So this, yeah. I mean, because I feel like I usually get sick when I'm traveling, but from being on the plane. But for me, from now on, I'm always wearing my mask. Like going forward, I'm
100%.
always wearing my mask unless I have to. Because I will say this: in the year that we were in lockdown, and I went out, like, I mean, after like pretty much this time last June, where like they were starting to lift certain lockdowns and restrictions, not obviously fully open. You know, we my girlfriend and some friends, we went out and like to the park and like social distance, but I kept my mask on all times. I never got sick. You know, with the occasion, like maybe like sinuses, excuse me, allergies with my sinuses. I never got sick in the year, and I was like, this is the longest I've never been sick, because I mean, when I was living in New York or traveling from Jersey to New York to go work in the city and taking the goddamn New Jersey Transit, I was sick every other week because everyone's sick on that motherfucker.
Yep, that's crazy. My son ended up catching the cold from me, even though those first couple of days I stayed upstairs, and when I went downstairs I wore a mask or whatever.
But that just makes you think about like how much our antibodies are reduced now, because we were, you know, and I'm not going to knock it because obviously science proves that this was the way to go, but it just also goes to show you that like we also make our bodies weird, in that, you know, it collects kind of like data throughout the day of who you're interacting with, and puts up like certain barriers to protect us from sicknesses.
And when I took my son to the doctor, they didn't even have any more appointments that day. They just said, listen, we have walk-ins between this time and this time. Good luck. So I get there, and the doctor, he's all, what's the word? Like, he's just all flummoxed. And so anyway, my son just had a cold, bronchitis, whatever. And the doctor's just like, yeah, it's been crazy here today. All the colds are coming back. Like, none of the kids are, you know, getting COVID or whatever, but like now all of a sudden, well, it's because
school's back open.
A lot quicker here. School's back open. And then a couple of weeks ago, with a month left of school, they send a letter home to parents. It's a waiver where you can sign that your kid doesn't have to wear a mask. I just don't get doing it with only a month left.
Yeah,
it's like a last middle finger. And then the doctor's telling me he's bombarded with sick kids. Well, now because all the masks are off, and now
no one cares. It's over. It's convenience over like, you know, health. You know, that's just what it is. It's always been that. It's people's convenience of what they've been allotted in life in the States, and not giving up those simple. And it's not even like privilege. I mean, yes, it's privileges, but at the same time, it's like, can you really not wear a mask for an hour while you go shopping? Can you not really do that? Like, it just blew my mind this whole time what was going down, and how crazy the country acted over something that was so serious, but, you know, didn't want to take it seriously because, I don't know, someone.
Tell me if I'm crazy here. So, you know, I had a couple of people that I knew that were just in a complete shit panic over having to wear a mask. And it just got to the point, and I said to one of them, I said, do me a favor. Next time you're out around people or whatever, and you got to sneeze, I said, don't cover up. Why? Why? No, don't cover up. Because if you don't believe scientists that are telling you that putting a piece of cloth over your face blocks a certain percentage, whatever it ended up being. Like, if you can't see the correlation there between when you cough or sneeze, you cover up. Why do you cover up?
You don't want to spread the germs.
Not for yourself.
Yeah, you don't want to spread disease.
It's so that you don't expel it onto somebody. It's the same shit. Like, and you know.
No, I know.
And the first time somebody gets sneezed on in a restaurant, it's, oh, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I mean, we listen to everything else when it comes to that type of science. I mean, you know, if someone has an autoimmune disease or sick with cancer, and they're going through chemo and radiation, and their immune system is weak, you know, oh, well, I can't see grandma today because she just came through chemo and her immune system is weak. Or I have to wear, you know, this full-on hazmat suit in order to see. I mean, I had to do that with my mom. And you know, like, I would never, no one would ever question that, because cancer is such a, it's crazy, because I guess, I don't know, like, cancer is proven to be deadly. AIDS is proven to be deadly. Where like, oh, it could be. And I don't know. The whole. We can go into this, I feel like, forever, but I feel like the whole country went stupider. We know why it went stupider, but we all know why, because there was a moron that was elected in the fucking White House for 4 years. So everyone felt like, well, if this dipshit can be the president, then why do I have to listen to people that are smarter than me that went through 10 years of residencies and schools and internships as a doctor when I, could barely pass like junior high.
I feel like that what you just said would be like that would be in the promo for your Netflix special. Like just that last thing of you saying that, and then somebody laughing in the back. Is that
it's Indy? That's Indy. Yeah. No, it's crazy, and like we'll move on after this because I want to talk about tennis. I want to talk about that blue light stuff we were talking about before we started the show because that was interesting. I want to talk about because I'm going through phases in my life as well here. I mean, we're both 40. We're hitting, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis. I don't know if we're past, and who knows these days because people are living forever. So I don't know if 50 is my midlife crisis or if I passed my midlife crisis. What is it?
Oh.
Half-life? But here's the thing is that, Andy, you never know. We said it's half-life. How do you know when your half-life is? Oh, well, if it's on a radio commercial, it's true.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, I know when mine is.
you know when your midlife crisis is?
Oh, it's right now.
I guess.
I don't know if this is the proper term or if anyone even said, but I'm emo as shit right now. Like this whole 40 thing, I'm like 14 again, but just like with worse knees.
Oh, dude.
Like,
I feel you on that
all the time. Like I'm hurting right now, and
dude, I feel you. I feel you on that. Like right before COVID, I joined because it'd been a minute, but I joined a soccer league. I joined like a men's soccer league through another group of friends I played soccer with when I first moved out here, and that was also when I was playing with them. This is like 2016, 17. I was at like my heaviest, or even 15 was at my heaviest. So like my body definitely, my mind thinks I can do all those things, and I couldn't. And so then I was hurting myself a lot, like really, really injuring myself. And then I lost all the weight, and I didn't play one fucking lick of soccer when I was at like my most peak in shape when I was doing all that stuff. And then I felt good. I was in shape. I should say I was like in shape heading into 2019-ish, and joined the soccer league. And at 39, because I was, at 38, turning 39 last year, I don't know, my body just, the recovery time. I mean, my body, I'm still diving for these balls. Like I'm trying to get to the upper 90. I'm slide tackling people. I'm landing on my shoulder and I'm getting up. I'm like, I think it's either dislocated, broken, or I never felt pain like that.
Yeah.
And then the whole rest of my Sunday, it wasn't like a normal Sunday when I was playing when I was a kid. I'll play 2 games and then feel free to go eat and do whatever I want. I was out of commission for the rest of that Sunday whenever I played. It's hard.
I believe it. And sometimes when I go on the tennis court, I think it's like 17-year-old me.
Yeah. Oh, it's your mind. And it's a competitiveness inside you.
It takes all of, 5 minutes for you to just snap out of it, or in my case, have something. I don't have any. I had someone down here that I was hitting with, but didn't really. Winter came and COVID. So the most I've really done in the last few months is just out there by myself, just practicing serves.
Yeah.
And I could see, hurting a shoulder, practicing serves, but like I pulled a groin just like 5 serves in, and nothing will shatter the revisionist history that you have in your mind about what a great athlete you were in your teens.
Yep.
Than pulling a growing muscle, hitting a 60-mile-an-hour serve. It's humbling, to say the least. It's humbling, it's depressing, and it makes me just come home, take a hot shower, and then just turn the blue light on, close the bedroom door, and just sit and listen to sad songs.
Yes.
Like legit regression. it's like I can't really do it on the days when my son's here, but when he's at his mom's house, no, it's full on teen angst in here. I mean, I gotta like hide it from the kid. You know what I mean? He can't know that I'm still in the phase that he's about to go.
Yeah, he's about to. Your son's about to go through this phase.
Yeah, so I got to get my second one out.
Oh my
God! Second teen phase out before he gets there. We can't have both of us living in the house.
Man, this is like you ever see? Do you remember the movie Half Baked? Right,
yeah.
and they're talking about it's like the son's doing drugs. Like Dave Chappelle is like narrating. There's like the son's doing drugs to calm his teen angst, and his father's doing drugs to try to relate to his son. They should just smoke a bowl together. I feel like it's gonna happen with you two. You're both gonna be in this like teen angst emo phase, and you're all gonna be in the separate side of the room.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
I mean, except no one's gonna be covering up because it's just because smelling weed in the house.
Oh my goodness. Dude,
oh man,
I was not. No one told me that my midlife crisis would be just a second teen angst phase.
No,
like,
100%.
I didn't know this is what it was going to turn into. Like this is horrible.
And I have like, sorry, I mean cut you off. I have like small, like I have the teen angst that I had when I was a kid of like, oh, you know, like I haven't heard from a friend. I miss my friends. My friends aren't talking to me. And my friend, like, who are my friends anymore? And then on top of it, you pile on the social media. Like, I can't imagine actually being a teen right now and having teen angst with social media.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough enough being a 40-year-old teen.
Yeah, exactly.
Having angst with social media. If I was like a legit teen, I wouldn't leave my house. But yeah, he and I can't both be going through this. So I got to get this second one out of my system. It's just like the first one. It's just with arthritis and a lot less testosterone. So like,
you know what you got to do? You know what you got to do? You just got to watch all the teen angsty movies and listen to all the songs you did growing up for like a month straight.
Dude, I called my best friend the other day and I'm just like, so should I ask this girl out? Like that kind of, like that really happened. Like it did. Like I'm going through a teen angst phase. And also like the midlife part of getting old and being divorced. So it's just all just like mixing together and it's not supposed to. So the product is just really, really strange. And the only way I know how to cope with it is putting like all the lights in my bedroom blue and just drinking
bubbly. Yes, I love bubbly. I'm a big fan of bubbly, even though we don't have any right now. I am a huge fan of bubbly. Bubbly is
it's one of the few things I have going for me. It's just like endless seltzer. There's a lot of seltzer in my kitchen.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we have too. And I don't like LaCroix. I'm a huge bubbly guy though. Bubbly is for me.
Yeah, but bubbly. You know what? Sometimes if I can't get it, the supermarket down here, their generic brand is pretty good. I always had a couple drops of lemon juice, but the bubbly's the best stuff. I don't do the LaCroix either.
And so you just sit in the corner drinking a bubbly, a grape, or a blackberry.
Oh yeah.
And just with or strawberry.
Blackberry with blue lights on. Yeah, listen to some like Juice WRLD or something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, we have. I feel you with the lights thing. We got these like, I mean, this is, I think, modern age emo retrospective.
Yeah.
We have those like Google lights that you like, hey Google, turn the chandelier, or the bedroom light to like fuchsia, and it can change to all. It's over like 60 colors or 600 colors or something like that. And I'll just sit there and I'm like, what mood am I in? I'm angry right now. Red. I want everything red.
Oh yeah.
And it's fun, but like, dude, I feel you. I think I listened to more sad 90s music over the pandemic that I had probably the previous 10 years leading up to it. And I was in some I was in some fucked up headspace too prior to the pandemic. Relationships and everything.
Oh yeah. I listen, I've got a blue bulb and then I've got like a really
nice.
Yeah, which like I asked my son to help me for like 2 minutes so that now that it looks like shit, I can just say I can blame it on him. But it's like it's what you have kids for. But yeah, so I'll get like a nice blue. Sometimes I'll get a purple vibe going on in here, and just
Interesting. Interesting.
The light shows help with the moods.
Yeah, the mood lighting is always like the best. I don't know. I wish I had it. I wish I had more of those things as a kid. So my parents kept me very not like they didn't keep like too close to me. They let me do whatever I want, but they wanted me like their focus was like your sports, academics, none of this emo crap. They never let me give Jinko jeans or skater jeans. Like
You needed that.
I needed that. My parents let me listen to whatever music they wanted. They didn't care rap, grunge, hip hop. They didn't give it. Like my dad listened to the music with me, but he just didn't want me. My dad had a vision of how he wanted me to dress, and it was none of the styles of music I listened to. I might have had some grunge look with maybe some plaid shirts in, and maybe some very plain colored jeans or khakis or whatever, like nothing too cold. But it could never be baggy. He'd make me tuck in my shirts. I had to tuck out my shirts after I left.
Wow.
And that's the thing. My dad acted the same way even when I worked at Sirius XM. He would always be like, I would wake up and go to work. He's like, why are you dressed like that? He's like, you should dress in at least business casual, like a suit or a shirt with. I'm like, do you know what I'm doing for 4 to 5 hours?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, do you know what work? I was like, I don't know anybody in radio unless you're an executive, a high up executive that doesn't work in the studio and is just taking meetings all day with talent. No one I know is wearing, what's it called, like blazers and button downs, unless you're unless you're the VP of the department and you're going to all these meetings. But you're
sitting in a control room across from a guy and you're just trying to out fart each other.
Exactly. And talk about the crazy shit that happened in sports because there was just so much shit going. But if I was working at Sirius, if I was at Sirius XM now, my age, right? Or younger, I should say, when I first started off in radio, I would probably not even. I would wear fucking sweatpants. I would wear fancy Nike sweats or whatever. I wouldn't even wear jeans or any of that type of stuff. Be comfortable. I do that when I'm on. I do that when I'm filming now. If I have to go on set and I have to film, I'm showing up in a nice, comfortable T-shirt and athletic athleisure wear. That's all I'm wearing because if I gotta get down and I'm not. I'm running around. I don't wear the jeans on set anymore unless I'm sitting back and directing or doing something like that. But if I'm holding camera, I'm running around, fuck that.
This is strangely mature.
This conversation?
No, the part about the pants. I'm not wearing jeans. I'm going to graduate to sweatpants.
Yeah. Well, that's also part of, I feel like that's also part of the graduation of the pandemic.
That's true.
I had to go in the office for the first time, just because I had, I just got hired. I haven't been to the office. So I wanted to check it out. And I went in and I was like, I don't even know if my fucking jeans fit. I haven't worn them. And they did. The larger-ish pair wore, not my nice skinny ones that I bought, but the nicer, they're still nice. But I was just like, I don't like them. I don't like the way they, I just didn't feel comfortable wearing jeans because I've been wearing sweatpants and shorts for so fucking long.
Yeah, man. And you don't even realize it when you're in the house that long and you just have nowhere to go. I once they started doing the supermarkets, and they're still doing them now, you just order the food on your app and they just put it in your trunk.
Yeah, and that's it.
That's it. You don't have to wear pants. Some sort of pants, but
Nah, I did. Listen, there was a part of time when I didn't even have to go out and get the food. I just tell them to leave them at the bottom of the stair, and I would just run down after they left in my underwear and grab it, shirtless and everything. But listen, let's move past this topic. I want to talk about your show.
The underwear, the heat was getting turned up with the underwear talk.
I know. MeUndies, sponsor me. But I want to talk about your show, your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear more about it, man. I feel like you launched it 2 weeks ago?
3.
3?
Right before the French Open.
It's tennis only?
Tennis only.
Love it.
Kind of just wanted to, there's 2 things that I feel like I know really, really well. Tennis and wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've neglected the passion for tennis for a long time. Because to be honest with you, from being a kid, the plan was I always wanted to be a pro tennis player. It was just, tennis is one of those sports, and it still is to a degree today. It's still kind of one of those elitist sports. where like if you really want to learn the game, I mean, yeah, of course you can go to a camp in the summertime, but if you like really want to learn the game, and it's not as easy as um every high school having a team. Like my high school, like I got there and they said, we don't have a boys tennis team. If you want one, find 7 other guys.
Wow.
So it was on me. So I had to come up with it. And it's a very expensive game to learn. And if you don't start when you're, I don't know, no later than 11 or something like that.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say 8. I feel like 8.
Yeah, it probably is closer to 8. 11's like high side, but it's so expensive to learn and train. And I was trying to do that like after high school. Like I left college, and that's what I was doing. I was just working to pay for private instruction, but it just, to be 18 and not to be at a certain level.
Yeah.
And just trying to catch up. Like I could never make enough to like fully finance the kind of training I would have needed. It was at that point, it was way late anyway. But the point is, so I still watch it. I'm still obsessed with it, and I love to talk about it. So I said, why not do this? Why don't I finally sit down and just focus on this sport and do it in a way that I have some sort of control over? So I started the Holding Serve podcast.
I love it, dude. I love it, and I think that's really it's awesome. And I feel you're I empathize with you, or sympathize with you in terms of like watching a sport that you feel, well, that you could have been successful as a pro. I felt that way with soccer. I mean, soccer, I trained because if my dad had he wanted me to be tennis. My dad loves tennis. I was taking tennis lessons as a kid from when I was like 5, 6 years old. That and soccer were my first like sports I actually played. Baseball came like a year after that when I was 7. And I love tennis. And I think when we moved from Brooklyn to Jersey, a lot of more of my friends, because again, it's also like, who your friends are, were playing soccer and baseball. So I wanted to focus more on that. But I didn't play tennis in high school, but I love the sport. And then with soccer, the only vision I had for me was to be involved in the sport somehow, pro, coach, whatever it may be at some level. And I think, there's a couple things that deterred me from that. And I think I hurt myself in college. I hurt my knee, and it just I think it wasn't the reality of not becoming a pro, because if I just kept on working, there would have been some form of pro level to play at. But as a soccer player in the States, it's not a popular sport. So regardless, a lot of these MLS players, unless you're Beckham or, now it's a little bit different. They get paid a little bit more. But back then, the MLS, and unless you wanted to go play in the Division II or Division III of Premier League, but even those guys are still working regular jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they solely can live off of. And my focus, my switch was, well, if I can't be in the sport, well, I can talk about the sport. And so I did sports journalism. And I thought I would enjoy working in sports and sports media. And I did for like a little bit. And then you realize how, and I don't know how you feel about this, but this is how I felt working at a certain place or certain places. It's not even one place. I've worked at a lot of sports companies. A lot of people that work at sports companies could never play the game, whether it be male or female. They could never play the game. So there were the people that always wanted to play the game real well, but end up being like the stats guy, the person that knows everything about sports. And when they know so much, you can't approach them in a way that like even challenges their ideation of thought, because they'll attack you. And it just being in that environment for so long, working in sports and making it a career, like I enjoyed it for a little bit, but after a while, there's weird hours, the strange people you deal with, these like, it's a very different sports. I feel like sports radio and sports media is very different than other media. I lost my passion for even like watching sports casually for a little bit. Wow. Football, baseball, taking a break from it was nice. And then I got back into it. I'm like, oh wait, Now I realize why I don't like working directly with all these sports stuff, because some of the people that work it just make it hard. And I wish, like you touched the point where, like, you wish you did the podcast earlier. I always feel the same way. I should have done more of my podcasting video stuff earlier in my career and make a YouTube channel. But again, it's never better late than never. And you're doing it because it's still going to go somewhere. It just might take a little bit longer.
Right. Yeah. It's what do you call it? Labor of love.
Labor of love.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And it's one of those things where I think. So it took me a while to start it because I'm the kind of person. I could have a million people stand in front of me and tell me how great I am at something, right? There'll still be that one voice in the back of my head that'll tell me I'm not, and it'll fuck with me for so long. I've been trying to start this podcast for so long, but I would get sorry.
All good.
I would get stuck, at the start finish line, right? And it took like a good kick in the ass from a friend of mine for me to just like put the first one out. And then the second one, and then start feeling, I'm only on the fourth one's coming out tomorrow evening. But like each time I finish one, and once it's done, edited and everything like that, there is this sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
So I hope it goes somewhere, but like for right now, it feels good to get something out. Like
100%. No, I agree. That's I'm thankful for Indy because I've been talking about wanting to do this to myself, and like you said, it's like you can get all the accolades, all the that you want, but your own worst enemy is yourself, because out of those, like, let's say 20 people that support you, there's going to be that one person that's still your friend that's like, well, what's the, like, someone else does this better, or this is better than this. And it's like, shit, should I not even fucking, you listen to that one voice, that one negativity. And so when Indy approached me about doing this, I had myself, I was like, yeah, I was amped, but I was nervous. I still, like, the first 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes, I was nervous coming here because I was like, I want this to be the best that I can. It's like, you know what? This is a labor of love. It's a process. And I feel good about myself after every time I complete it, and it's good to have those friends, good to the people that push you and stuff like that, because they believe in you. And it just once you start believing more in yourself, the good things will happen. How long it takes, who knows? But at least you're doing it. And that's all that matters. Whether I have 10 listeners, 20, it will get there. People will start realizing it. You just got to keep on doing it, and don't do it for other people. I think that was my issue for the first 15 years of my career. Was I was doing what other people told me or wanted me to do, rather than just listening to myself. Like, I would have an idea, think it would be great, and I would share it with someone, like, that's stupid. I'd be like, okay. Instead of being like, you know what, maybe it's stupid, but maybe there's some things there that work. I just got to rework it a bit. Maybe it wasn't stupid the whole time, but you're not going to know unless you try. Yeah.
And the thing is too, is talking about having that we both should have, done this a lot sooner. For a while, or a short while, a long time ago, I was doing my own wrestling podcast. And dude, this whole time I've been wanting to put something out wrestling related, and I haven't. And you mentioned a place that we both worked at a long time ago. That was really the only gig that I had in radio, right? So when that ended, it happened to coincide with a really rough time in my personal life, so it kind of felt like everything was going off track, and it took me a while to recover, right? And looking back, I'm like, damn, but why did I stop doing it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and I feel the same way.
It messes with your confidence. It messes with your confidence. And when two events like that, like, getting let go from a place, that I felt like I was putting in a lot of hard work, and then personal stuff happens at the same time, and you're like, well, shit, I got to take cover for a little bit. And I think I took cover for a little bit too long. And now that's kind of played into me having difficulty finally starting back up, because I've taken so long, and the longer I've let it go, the more I've doubted myself, right?
Yep.
So then it just became harder to finally. So now that I finally, started and putting something out, it finally feels like I stopped that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like,
It's like you're going down the hill, but you don't have to go back up this big hill that you just climbed again.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a crazy feel, and you end up just messing with yourself, but you end up being your own worst enemy because
No, 100%.
it's so crazy. It's just so crazy how it won't necessarily be the people that you see standing in front of you that are blocking you. Sometimes it really is yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. There's, I got a couple people that I could say some things about.
There's always gonna be people. There's always gonna be people that block us, and I know exactly how you feel because I some of those people have blocked both of us together, for different things.
Exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, but man, if you can get past your own mind, you can get past, beating yourself. You can do it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. This is a great conversation. This is not how the conversation I thought was going to go, but this has been great, man. I appreciate this conversation because it's a little reflective. I think about it all the time.
It is. I didn't mean to dip. I hope I didn't dip the energy too much.
No. We can flip it any point. We're going to flip it right now. So,
all right, cool.
I've been following a little. It's been weird. I haven't really been following sports as much as I should. Again, it's been a weird year, and I've just been focusing on just whatever. I play a lot of video games, but I know Wimbledon's up. I know French Open just ended. I feel like I don't know. I know Djokovic. I know Federer is out, right? He's been injured.
He's back now.
Nadal has been injured.
No, Federer's been injured. He just came back about a month ago. He played 3 matches at the French. He won his first 3 rounds and he withdrew.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, he was only there looking for the match play.
Yeah.
He's more focused on Wimbledon because the grass is his best surface. Coming off of two knee surgeries, grass is the easiest on your body. And it's his best surface. So he was just using the French Open basically.
Just to
even
practice.
Though it's two entirely different surfaces, he still needed that competitive match play to get his wind up and his rhythm, all that kind of stuff. So he kind of used that as a tool. But yeah.
Interesting. I see. It's who is the top of? We'll get to the women's in a second. Who is the top of the men's game? Is it still Djokovic?
It's Djokovic. I mean,
how old is he?
34.
Wow. Okay, so he's still got
34.
He's still got a few years.
Yeah, he's 34. Nadal just turned 35 during the French Open, and Federer turns 40 in August.
Yeah. Federer's had the longer career, and I feel like Nadal could have had the better career, but I feel like he because his surface is, correct me if I'm wrong, is the sand.
Clay. Yep.
Clay. Sorry, clay. But when I remember when in his prime, 5, 6, 7 years ago, he was he's stopping and sliding at the same time, and that takes toll on your knees and your fucking ankles.
Well, it's why and got to be careful how I say this. I was going to say it's why he hasn't won as much on other surfaces. Now I say that. Now, mind you, he's won Wimbledon twice. He's won the U.S. Open 3 times, and he's won the Australian Open 1 time. But on those hard court surfaces, it can be a lot on his body because he plays such a physical style.
Yeah.
Still, we're talking about a guy who's a 16-year pro. He's got 3 U.S. Open titles.
That's impressive.
Got an Australian Open title, which is also on hard court, 2 on grass and 13 on clay, which, clay, even though it's physical, you're running, you're sliding, whatever, the points are longer. Clay and grass aren't as hard on the knees as playing on a hard court. So, but if you're asking me who's the guy right now,
it's Djokovic.
It's Djokovic. I hate to say it because I can't stand the guy.
Interesting. Is there anybody that's the next Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Sampras, any of those coming up that's going to be the next generation? Because I don't know any from that.
So the guy that Djokovic beat in the final, this guy from Greece, Stefanos Tsitsipas. Say that.
It's a mouthful.
Tsitsipas. Yeah, he. So at the beginning of the tournament, I said on my podcast, I said it's going to be Nadal again because, 16 French Opens. He's won 13 of them. He's 105 wins, 3 losses. Since he started playing the French Open, he's literally lost once every 6 years.
At the French Open.
At the French Open.
Wow.
He's 105-3.
Wow.
It's the most ridiculous stat ever. So I picked him to win it again. I was look, if he's going down, I'm going down with the ship, right?
Yeah.
So, but Djokovic got him. It was a close one. He played better. But I thought coming in, I said, if Nadal doesn't win, it's going to be Tsitsipas, the kid from Greece, because he's the one on the rise. And out of there's about 3 top young guys that are on the rise, and out of those 3, he's the best on clay, right?
Okay.
So he gets to the final. He plays Djokovic. He's up 2-0.
Wow.
He's dominating Djokovic, and Djokovic looks like he's completely gassed. He's got nothing in the tank. He's stumbling. And this is the shit that gets me with Djokovic, because we've seen it for years. He used to do it a lot when he was younger. Yeah, he'd be in the middle of a match. All of a sudden, he'd hit the ball like directly into the bottom of the net, or he'd be getting ready to hit a shot and he'd just lose his footing out of nowhere. It was just all this weird shit. And then he just turned the match around. And it seemed so unnecessary, because he was always good enough to beat anyone.
Do you think it's like a hustle, like a hustle thing for him?
I definitely think it's a hustle. I think, after he lost those first 2 sets, was he a little tired? Yeah, you're gonna be tired if you've just played Nadal 2 days before. You know what I mean? That's like running through a brick wall. But that hangdog, and just looking like, if you looked at his eyes, he looked like he was completely gone.
Interesting.
And he's playing a young kid from Greece, 22 years old, first time in a Grand Slam final. And he's thinking, holy shit, I got the world #1 in a hole, and I'm about to win my first major title. Greece has never had anybody ranked this high. They've never had a tennis champion. So this guy is about to be the king. And he let up just a little bit.
Damn.
And Djokovic, having won 18 Grand Slams before, he's held the #1 ranking longer than any man in history. He left him just a little bit of opening, and then he won that 3rd set, and you saw a little worry on the kid's face, right? Then he lost the 4th set, and he was scared to death. When he lost the 4th set, he lost the match. It was over then. He wasn't winning. It just, because at that point, even though Djokovic may have been physically tired, at that point it was a battle of the minds.
It was a mental game.
And he had nothing for him.
Damn.
Nothing for him. And, when it's all said and done, Djokovic, number 19, he's won every Grand Slam at least twice. No man has ever done that.
He's going to come back. You give him that little window, he's going to make a comeback.
All the greats are like that. If you they don't quit on points.
No.
They don't quit. That's what makes them great.
You
never hear a crowd louder than when the guy that was down 2 sets in a break, or a guy that was down match point in the 3rd set comes back to win the match. You know what I mean? That match went like 4 hours the other day, and I was just glued into that couch going, please don't let this motherfucker win again. I can't stand it. I'm partial to the other 2. And that's the other thing. You rarely see a 3-way rivalry actually work. Federer, 20 Grand Slams. Nadal, 20 Grand Slams. Djokovic, 19 Grand Slams.
And Federer was ahead of them for a long time.
And Nadal's won 13 at the French alone. That'll catch you up in a hurry. And they've all beaten each other in the biggest moments, biggest tour. Djokovic has the edge over Federer. He's got a 2-match. He and Nadal have played 59 times, and I think it's not 30-29. It's or whatever. But he's 59
he's up
times.
there. He's up there ahead of him.
He's up 2. I can't do math right now.
It's too late. It's late there. It
would be 31-28. Yeah. He's got him edge by 2 or 3 matches. But they've played almost 60 times, and there's only 2 matches between them. You know what I mean? One guy's only won 2 more times. But that's really what's kept the game alive for the last decade and a half, was Federer snatching it from the older
Like
guard,
little round around, yeah.
and then dominating until Nadal came.
Yeah.
And even when Nadal first came, it was, well, if they play on clay, Nadal's going to win, but Federer get him and then Nadal.
Started coming out of there nowhere, yeah.
A kid from Spain
Yeah.
who's all of a sudden winning Wimbledon. Like, when I was growing up, anybody from South America, like the top players from South America, they'd skip Wimbledon. They said grass is for the cows, and they wouldn't bother playing.
Yeah.
So to see so many players so good on different surfaces is really exciting.
Is there any U.S. player that's coming up, a men's USA player that's coming up? Like,
okay, that's a great question.
Because I feel like it's been so long since there's been, it's been since Sampras.
No, so the last American man to win a Grand Slam was Roddick.
Oh, that's right, Andy Roddick.
03. So the last two, 03 was the last year. Agassi was 32, won the Australian in 03. Roddick won the U.S. Open at the end of that year, and then like 04. Late 04 is where Federer just took over the game. So yeah, the last time an American man won a Grand Slam was Andy Roddick.
That was 04. Yeah, I remember that because he had a small window. It was like a small window. He was successful. Everybody was hoping he'd be the next guy.
He was on the tail end, like right when Agassi was about to retire, and that U.S. Open he got was in his. I think Roddick was pro like 2 years at that point. It was really early in his career, and it looked like just as Agassi was on his way out, Sampras had retired the year before. Just as Agassi was on his way out, and mind you, Agassi's still making Grand Slam finals in 05 in his last full year on tour. But it looked like, okay, Roddick's the natural, the torch
successor.
But Roddick had to play against Federer, like young prime Federer, like his whole career, and it just, man, Roddick would have won at least 3 or 4 more Grand Slams, if not for having to deal with Federer.
Crazy. Fucking crazy. All right, let's switch it over. Real quick. I want to talk a little wrestling. Oh wait, let's talk women's tennis real quick. Are we okay?
Oh, yeah,
let's talk about women's tennis real quick.
I'll make it quick. The women in America, it looks a lot better.
Well, yeah.
You have Sloane Stephens, 2017 U.S. Open champion.
Yep.
Madison Keys, Coco Gauff. That's the one everyone's looking at. She's got everything, and she's got
she's like the next Serena. They feel, right?
That's a lot to put on.
It's a lot to put on someone.
The next really big American star, yes. And she seems like she's got a good support system around. She's only 17.
Yeah.
Got a good support system around her. Her parents travel with her.
That's good.
Making sure she's not playing too many tournaments. But yeah, that's the one to look at.
What about Naomi? Isn't Naomi Osaka? Is she American or can she go Japanese American?
She plays out of Japan. She's Japanese and Haitian, and she when she plays, she represents Japan.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, she's something special.
She's incredible. She is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, when she's got the kind of game when she's on, can't touch her.
Yeah,
I felt bad. She played Serena in Australia this year, and she bullied her. It looked like what young Serena used to do.
Who do you think would be better in their prime, Serena or Naomi?
It's not a fair question, but based on the body of work, which Serena's got a lot more. Yeah, Serena. I've never seen anything.
Which was crazy because I feel like for a minute there, well, it wasn't for a minute, for a while, Venus was the favorable sister.
She was early, and then when Serena got going in 2002, it was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game hasn't seen anything like her. She's the greatest ever on the women's side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before I let you go, I want to cover wrestling because I used to be enamored I used to love wrestling. That was like one of my favorite things, and I feel like as I got older, especially moving on the West Coast, I didn't I wasn't able to catch Raw live, even though because they play
Yeah,
they play it here on the West Coast when it's supposed to air like normal time, like 7-8 o'clock at night,
that
and
always drove me crazy. That
it's like I
always
feel
drove me
like
crazy.
with the and because with the invention of social media and everything, it's like, well, I'm just gonna go online and see what people are talking about in that
Yeah,
in that realm, rather than. But even then, I just got busy with work, and I feel like wrestling has, I mean, it's been created this big, there's been a huge boom. You know, it's been a great progression to see, but I feel like there are other leagues, I should say, or what do you want to call them,
Mhm.
conference that
Companies, mhm.
companies, thank you, that
Companies or
have
promotions.
that
Yeah.
are doing better than WWE.
Um,
Or is WWE always going to be there, and it's just like, you know, people will get close to it.
WWE is always going to lead, and everybody else will follow. They are such. The
They're the
issue
NFL.
is
They're the
you have
NFL of their
right,
sport.
but I mean, Vince McMahon has really turned it into an entertainment company that just features wrestling as its main piece. I mean, when you see that he's taken it to a level where he could sell the rights to Peacock for 5 years for $1 billion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's more than just running a wrestling company. And what's happened is because he's still the guy that signs off on everything.
How old is he
He's
now?
still
Is he in his
Vince
70s,
is
80s?
76, 75 or 76.
Wow.
But still, you know, from all accounts, works out like a fiend every morning and, you know,
He
never
looks, listen,
tired.
he looks fueled.
But the thing is, he's so obsessed with entertainment that he's kind of lost the plot on wrestling. And it's alienated a lot of fans, a lot of the silly stuff that they put on TV. So then when you have a new company like AEW come and they've got a lot of money because they're backed by the Khan family that owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they've got, you know, Wednesday night programming on national TV on TNT, you know, people get excited. They say, oh, kind of reminds them of WCW when they were going head to head
Yeah,
during the
yeah.
Monday Night Wars.
I remember WCW was great for a long time. Nitro, Monday Night Nitro, that was I watched that more than Raw.
Nitro kicked Raw's ass for 83 weeks. It's the only time Vince McMahon's ever been scared. And he ended up turning his company around and presenting a fresh product with people like new stars like Steve Austin and The Rock.
Yeah.
And a combination. Think about that. You had the ascent of Steve Austin and The Rock, and you had it at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like two generational talents, and they just happen to come along at the same time. And that's what turned it around. And WCW ended up going out of business, and Vince hasn't faced any real competition since.
Yeah.
But people are excited about AEW because they do have a lot of money behind them, and they have national television exposure. So
well, you said
there's something out there for everyone.
You said something interesting about like why WWE fans are being turned away, and you said it's become more of a. You said was it a spectacle? Was it something like it just too comedic? Or you said, or just too outlandish? I think is what you said. I can't remember exactly, but
way too outlandish. So, like,
how so? Because I'm just curious. Because to me, like, I think what I love about wrestling is that it's always been that way. It's always been this bigger than life theatrics. Do you know what I mean? And with athleticism and I love that. I love that. So I'm curious as like how it's become that way.
Listen. What happens is, and a lot of what made it great is some of the over the top stuff.
Right.
But we got to a point years ago where intelligence just kept getting insulted. Like everybody knows it's a work, that it's entertainment, but you don't have to beat the viewer over the head with it every single time. You know, like for instance, with WWE, they've got this storyline right now with one of their women wrestlers, Alexa Bliss. She's one of the most popular females they have. And she's doing an angle where she's kind of like this possessed kind of demon almost. You know, she has when she comes out, they have a set for her. It's like a swing set, and she sits on the swing and she swings while talking to a doll that looks exactly like her. So I'm all for giving some crazy shit a chance, right? But
That's too much.
it's when someone, so they air a segment where someone was mean to her early in the day. So during that person's match, she's sitting on the stage watching that person's mouth,
Match.
fucking can't talk,
Match.
watching that person's match, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she gives a hard look at the person, and the person just goes down in agony, right? Like she cast a spell on her. Or then, all of a sudden, she stares at her and throws fire just starts shooting from places. And then they closed last week's show with, she wasn't haunting the girl, the doll was haunting the other wrestler. And this was Shayna Baszler, who's an MMA fighter who turned WWE wrestler. She's running from a doll. She's running through the backstage area. It's clear she's being followed by a cameraman because we're all watching it. And she's opening, doors won't open. And finally she goes in to one room and she shuts the door behind her. So it's obvious that the cameraman has been in the room waiting for her to come in. And then she's standing there and she looks in a mirror and she sees the doll. And then the lights go out and she's screaming. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Bad theatrics.
You want to put out horror movies, just put out horror movies. But like, Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes didn't bleed so that I could see Lily the doll like scare an MMA fighter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear you.
Look, The Undertaker used to scare me when I was a kid. I get it, but like, shit wasn't that insulting. Like, you know what I mean? It was like,
yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying.
I thought a choke slam and a pile driver hurt. Later found out it actually does. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He choke slammed a guy and then put him in a body bag and they took him away. Okay, haha. You know what I mean? It's like, but like somebody like doing voodoo from across the room and like, I'm gonna look at you and give you a leg cramp and like,
yeah, it's too much. I get that. It's totally too much.
Guys were throwing tomatoes at other guys during their match a couple weeks ago, and it's just like, what the like? Are you trying to like piss people off? Like, all I kept thinking was like, I want to throw a tomato at the screen because, the tag team is in the ring wrestling, and a tag team that they're feuding with is also on the outside, and to distract them, they're throwing tomatoes at each other. Like,
it's not. I don't know. I think that's why I haven't watched a lot of the wrestling lately. I feel like every time I tune into Raw, we're not getting as many matches as we used to. Not much action as it used to be. It's more talk, which I get. That's part of it. But it's poor acting. It's not as believable. It's not as interesting as it was.
The talking that you and I liked was when Steve Austin was told, hey, here's what we need you to get across to the fans, and we need you to make sure that you sell the pay-per-view this Sunday, so put it in your own words. And Steve Austin would go out there and say whatever he wanted, but he'd get all those points covered.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they hand every piece of talent a script.
Yeah. It's too scripted.
You can tell, like there have been people that work there, and after they've been released, they've been on Twitter and was like, I can tell you who wrote that promo. Because they knew the writer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Huh.
And like talent can't shine when you don't let people do what they do. This is art. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
like,
totally.
It's not like a movie. It's not like a movie because like no real movie director would write that shit.
It sucks, man. It sucks because I feel like there's a lot of good. I mean, I really want to watch I feel like even like WrestleMania this year wasn't as hyped as it's been in the past.
I actually went.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was your little sneak out. That was one of your little sneak outs.
Listen. They said it was a third capacity.
It was in Tampa, right?
It was in Tampa because no one in Florida gives a shit. COVID's never been real there anyway. But I was just like, look, if I don't get out of the house for a couple of days and do something I like, I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm vaccinated. I'll put 8 masks on. I'm going.
I love it.
And I went. It was outdoors. It was only, the place seats like 70,000. It was only 20,000 people there or whatever. And it was just good to feel that.
Yeah.
That rush. So.
Was it good?
It was good. I mean, honestly, there was one match I didn't like, but at that point, I had been in the house so long, they could have wheeled out a barrel of dog shit and I would have cheered for it. It was like, you know what I mean? It's like, Bad Bunny wrestled a match,
Yeah, I heard that.
but Bad Bunny apparently moved to Orlando and lived there for 4 months, didn't record any music, and trained every single day. And it looked like it, so he took it seriously. So that was good. I'm like, okay, I saw him perform. The entrances, the pyro, the flyover, all that stuff. It was just good. It was just good to be back in an event. But I'll make a last point about WWE. Their NXT show on Tuesday nights is really the project of Triple H. And even though he was a part of, DX, and they did a lot of crazy and vulgar stuff or whatever, he is a wrestling purist at heart.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a marked difference between Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and the NXT show, and the difference is Vince McMahon.
Interesting.
So on NXT, you're still seeing storylines of, this person doesn't like this person because of this stupid reason or whatever. But it all comes down to the athleticism in the ring. And it's really for the wrestling fan.
I like that. I should check that out. I always see promos from it. It's just like I never got a chance to check it out. And I know that like a lot of the current superstars, like what's his name? Bryant. Didn't he come from next? Daniel Bryant.
Yeah. He was no, he was in a group called the Nexus. That was a different kind.
Oh, okay.
It'd take 3 hours to explain that, but it's gotten so good that people that have been called up to the main shows, Raw and SmackDown, asked to go back to NXT.
Wow. Okay.
Because you're allowed to explore your creativity more, and it's more about the wrestling. Look, the hope is whenever, I'm not wishing death on anyone, but whenever Vince McMahon is no longer running the company, I hope that it is left to his daughter,
who's married to Triple H.
Married to Triple H, because then he would be the one
that would take over creative.
That's long been the succession plan, but as of recently, it seemed like Vince McMahon might be preparing to sell the company.
Oh, interesting.
Which I hope not. I think that would be a mistake. I think wrestling people need to run wrestling companies.
Yeah, I agree. Otherwise, it just doesn't become what the product is.
If you can have all the money in the world, if you don't know the product, if you don't know wrestling, you're gonna put out a shit product.
I agree. Dude, I want to say thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. We haven't talked like this in a minute, and I'm going to call you after. Yeah. Or I'll call you later this week, dude. We got to catch up more, man. This was good. I enjoy it. Thank you so much for your insight. That was helpful with tennis. That was helpful with wrestling, because I love those things. I just haven't been involved in watching it. But
I have fun doing this. Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, man. I'll definitely want to have you back on again.
I don't get many calls, Zach. I don't get many calls.
Oh yeah! Before I let you go, let me ask you this. I ask every guest to come on, and I feel like I know your answer because you're from the tri-state. Is how do you feel about pineapple on pizza?
I do that shit all the time.
Oh, totally did not think that. I totally did not think you would say pineapple on pizza.
The time, bro.
What? I should have started with that question first if I knew this. What do you mean all the time? How can you like that? Come on, G.
My best friend who he's in Florida now. But like when we would just feel like bro, just come over. Let's eat. Let's be fat. Let's play video games. Just be disgusting. Like the pineapple and bacon on pizza was like when I want to really feel shitty about myself. Pineapple and bacon pie. So like multiple slices.
I mean, okay. I mean, I see the correlation of feeling shitty eating pineapple on pizza because it's shitty, but like to like it.
No, but it tastes great, bro. Because it cheered.
See what I did there? You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Wow, God, I didn't think.
Cheered me right up. Oh, it's so good.
Damn.
I did not know that question was coming.
Yeah, I usually ask it everyone. And I really thought your answer was going to be no, because I thought, like me, you're a pizza purist from the tri-state, and I always bash people for pineapple on pizza.
I am too. That is interesting.
I say pineapple pizza was started by, and I know it was started in Canada, but I say it was started by the Papa John's and Domino's of the world, and it's from the Midwest area where that's all they get is that type of pizza. They don't have the pizza that we got when we were growing up in Jersey. I
mean, listen, if it helps, I mean, when I order it, I'm ordering from like a real pizza place. They're just putting this shit on for me. Like, I can't eat Domino's.
I guess.
Like Domino, obviously, if the weed's good, right? But like,
Yeah, of course. Well, if the weed's good and you have nowhere else to go, yeah.
Yeah, and it's 1 o'clock and you're crying. So
Yeah, I get
right.
that. I get that.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Wow. This took a turn.
Yeah. Dude.
Wow.
Like I tell you what, the whole 2 hours that were whatever that we've been on here, like I didn't really feel like it was a real conversation until the pineapple question.
Really? You didn't feel it was a conversation? Wow. Okay. Well, we should just start the fucking thing over. Just talk about pizza for fucking an hour. Shit.
There's some validation in being asked that question. Like I feel like important as fuck, like
well, you are. First of all, you are important as fuck. Regardless of the pizza, regardless of the pineapple on pizza question, you are important as fuck. You know.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it just like to be asked that, and I got to give an opinion, and not only that, you hated it. Like to like
man, I should just ask people questions all the time, and they'd be like, "That's stupid."
Yeah.
What do you mean you like tennis?
Yes, like the dopamine rush I got. Oh my goodness!
Wow.
And
well,
like I said, here, look at this. Like I said, not a single missed call. These are all sports notifications. So that's great.
Well, my man, I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate you hopping on. Go order yourself a pineapple pizza, please. Enjoy that.
Got some nasty keto ice cream downstairs that I'm about to go polish off while watching the Blacklist. So.
Keto ice cream. Well, enjoy that, my man. I will talk to you soon. We'd love to have you on again in the future. Probably like during, when the when fucking Survivor Series or Royal Rumble shit comes up, because I love SummerSlam, but
yes, indeed.
Those are Survivor Series and Royal Rumble are always, and those are always for some reason in my mind.
The Rumble's great.
The best. But dude,
anytime, bro. I appreciate it.
I'll talk to you later, man.
Sounds good. Take care.
See you, man. Be good.
Bye, Indy.